Welcome back to the Sack. Happy Sunday evening here from a cool and crisp mid-Sack. The temperature, just so those of you who want to be wrong, about 70 degrees here in Moseley. It's about 10 minutes of 10, approaching the witching hour of a Sunday evening. People winding down, getting ready to start the work week back here. Welcome back to I Don't Disagree, the show of non-competitive banter. I never thought I'd see this shirt again, but here it is. Tom is out doing a family thing this evening. He will return on Wednesday. Hope the kids are going camping, so he's taking them out to Pocahontas State Park. Hopefully they have a great time and the weather cooperates. And hope they have fun. So we will see Tom on Wednesday. Shout out to him and his Mets, who took 2 out of 3 from Philly. A convincing 6-0 shutout to the hands of the Phillies this weekend. So I think they took 2 out of 3. Nice job by the Mets there, just asserting themselves here as the front-running contender that they appear to be. See what's coming up next week. I'm sure Sean will have a litany of topics on the Mets on Wednesday. We're going to start this evening. Quick plug, by the way. It is RJ Day weekend up in the Northern Territory, up in Massachusetts there. So there is a very, very, very distinguished, infamous six-pack up there. Shout out to those guys. My brother-in-law, Brian McCosh, God, so many names I could attach to Brian McCosh. They'd all be fitting. Sean Darcy, Patriot diehard extraordinaire. Jim Billy, the hockey guru. Chuck McGrail, keeping us all safe up there, Massachusetts. Mike D. and Rob Huke of the Masons. Hope you guys are having a great week up there. Mish, I wish I could be there with you. I am there in spirit. So I hope you are doing all the things that I expect you to be doing, and most of those things are not fit to be put on the air, so let's keep it that way. So they're having a good 3-4 days. Is it 4 days now? I think it's 4 days. They're doing Friday to Monday. Well played, well done, and I don't doubt that you are not chugging them back at an alarming rate. I would expect nothing less from that crew. So shout out to them up there in Massachusetts at an undisclosed location. So we're going to start tonight off with a recap. Look, here's the thing. Tom and I have had this conversation about preseason football and the necessary evil that it is. And this is one of the things that I like about it, because if there's a player or a new player you want to see, if they're going to make the squad, or there's something you think can impact your team in a positive way. For me, obviously, we talk Patriots. We're also going to talk about the Commanders. Carson Wentz had a very impressive first outing. Again, take it with a grain of salt. Preseason, I think Tom is right about that. But there are some things that you want to look for and you hope to see. And I think with the Commanders, in terms of the quarterback, I think everything they were hoping to see, I think they saw in the first outing. So it was very positive for Carson Wentz. That's a good sign, I think. For the Patriots, where they're chasing the Buffalo Bills, they played the Giants Thursday night as we were taping. That game was going Thursday night. It turned out to be a Donnie. 23-21, the G-men prevailed up there in Gillette Stadium. What I was looking for, beyond hopefully nobody getting hurt, was I was looking at this wide receiver out of Baylor, the Patriots drafted, Daquan Thornton, who posted the fastest 40 time at the Combine. So for those of you who don't know, I believe he's out of Baylor, Daquan Thornton, and he ran a 4.2, a 4.2.840. Okay? So track speed, okay, cheetah speed, things like that. So he had a very good show at the Combine. He's 6'2", he's out of Baylor, yep. Actually, he was round 2. He wasn't round 4. He was second round pick 50 in the second round. So pretty high. So with the second round, you have some expectations. This dude's a big target, but he's a very, very, very fast target. On the very first drive of the game, he had not one but 2 pass interference flags he drew because he pulled away from the corner just with one move. This dude's got a burst like you read about. He's got a long wingspan, and from what appears, he's got a pretty good pair of hands. He caught a touchdown on that drive to start things off. So I was looking for 2 things. The breakaway speed, which he displayed, and I was hoping he had a pair of hands, and it looks like he has those. So he's a big target as well, 6'2" on the outside. So if this kid continues to evolve, which by all accounts up there, what I've been hearing about him from the other receivers, in terms of his work ethic, how he comes in every day looking to get better. He's not resting on his laurels. I mean, look, it's real easy when you run a 4.2 at the combine, because that doesn't happen very often, to kind of come in there and kind of boast about your world-class speed. But this dude's had his head in the playbook, and he's been working diligently to improve all the nuances of his game. So when the regular season starts here in less than a month, by the way, it's less than a month, that he will be able to contribute right away. It's hard for a rookie, really, in any sport. It's hard for a rookie to come in and make an impact. Obviously, first round picks, you have a level of expectation there. If they're in the top 5, really, in any sport, you expect, unless it's, I shouldn't say any sport, but because baseball, they're drafting them young and putting them in the farm system most times, and with hockey, they come in and they play right away. But there is an expectation with them. Baseball's probably the one where if it's a high first round pick, they've got to get through the minors, and how long they're down there really is dependent on how fast they pick things up and what they show, and are they working on the kinks in their game to get ready to go into the show. But in the NFL, your first, second, third round pick, the expectation, especially if you're first or second round, is you want to see an impact in the first year. Doesn't mean they got to be all world. It doesn't mean they got to be all pro. It doesn't mean they got to be, start rewriting the record books. But you want to see a positive impact on your team. The Patriots really, since Randy Moss, haven't had a guy on the outside that really makes the defense go whoa. I mean, now they had. I'm not trying to minimize the impact of Rob Gronkowski, who's the greatest tight end that's ever played, in most people's opinion, not just mine, and Julian Edelman, who might be the greatest slot receiver we've ever seen, and what their impact was in terms of the Patriots' offense. But that saying is that saying for a reason. Speed kills. And when you got a guy on the outside that can run a 4.2, I mean, talk to any defensive back who has to line up across from the cheetah and ask them what's going through their head. They'd probably give them a 5-yard cushion because they want to keep them, at least try to keep them in front of them and flush them toward the help, so that we have to outrun 5 of you, not one of you. But he changes the way a secondary covers. And this kid Thornton might have that ability. And if the Patriots had a weapon like that, to the 2 tight ends they got, Devontae Parker, who's had a 1,000-yard season in Miami, who's if he's healthy, he's proven. Jacoby Myers, who came really out of nowhere to become a very solid possession receiver. He's a big target. He moves the chains. He finally got in the end zone last year, so hopefully he builds on that. But if you add this kid to that mix in his talent, and the Patriots may have something. And I say that because I don't believe, based on what I've seen and what I've heard, that the Patriots have a shutdown defense anymore. I don't know if they ever really did. I think they had a bend but don't break defense. I mean, the 03-04 defense with Seymour, who got in, and Ty Law, that was a shutdown defense. Okay, and Rodney Harrison, but that 03 went back to back, the last team in the NFL to go back to back. They had a shutdown defense. They gave up 14 points a game both those years. They were a shutdown type of defense. But even in the Super Bowl, in the second one when they played Carolina, that became a shootout, wound up being 32-29. So the defense didn't show up that day. I mean, and they made Jake Delhomme a household name, but the Pats won that Super Bowl. But the defense really got outplayed in that game. But for the most part, those 2 years, I mean, they beat Philly, 24-14 or 24-21. They got one late. But that 03-04 defense, those 2 years, they were a shutdown defense. The rest of the time, it's been a bend but don't break defense. It's been let them go between the 20s, and then hold them to field goals. If you're holding your team, the opponent, to field goals, and your quarterback's Tom Brady, you're going to win at a 70% plus clip, because that's what they did. So they don't have a number one corner right now that I can see. They've let 2 of them go in 12 months. I'm still not happy about that. And maybe that guy emerges. I don't know. But in lieu of the fact you have a shutdown defense, as I've said before, you've got to be able to fight fire with fire. And what I mean by that is I'm talking about Buffalo. I'm talking about Cincinnati. I'm talking about Kansas City. I'm talking about Las Vegas. I'm talking about San Diego. These are high-octane offenses that can drop 30 at any game on anybody if they're healthy. Okay, they have those kind of explosives. That's 5 off the top of my head is reeled off in the AFC. And the Cheetah, by the way, he's in Miami. They've got Waddle on the other side. They've got a a definitive 1-2 receiving dynamite, and Tua Tagovailoa's got some weapons now. Who knows what Miami could be? They finished over 500 the last 2 years. Who knows what they could be? So you got to deal with them, okay? And then you've got the Baltimore Ravens and Lamar Jackson, who's won an MVP already. I mean, there's a lot of, and the Colts, who should have been a playoff team last year, but they've added Matt Ryan, who won a league MVP, and they had an MVP candidate in Taylor at the running back spot. They're not going to be easy to deal with. Okay, so and then there's Tennessee with Derrick Henry and Mike Vrabel. You guys know Mike Vrabel. So I mean, there is a slew of good teams in the American Football Conference this year, and if you don't have a shutdown defense, I think Buffalo might be the only one of that group that does. San Diego's the other one. They're kind of the you have to see. They've added a lot on the defensive side of the ball. They've stolen or taken a couple away from the Patriots, by the way. So their defense looks to be much improved. Now, will it be a shutdown defense? I don't know. But with that offense, I don't know that it has to be. It has to be complementary because their offense is capable of dropping 30 on anybody, 35 on anybody. So the Patriots have all of these offenses, these high-octane offenses in their conference. So, as I've said before, and you'll hear me say it again, they've got to be able to fight fire with fire. When I look at across this receiving core of New England, if you can add a 4-2 guy on the outside who happens to be 6'2.5", and he can catch, okay, with Devontae Parker and Wilkinson and Aguilar and the guys, and then you got Henry and Jonnu Smith, the tight ends, and you've got a two-headed monster at running back. I mean, Mac Jones should have a buffet, a litany, maybe dare I say a plethora of weapons at his disposal. If Mac Jones has all those weapons, I have no doubts about what Mac Jones can do. I saw him do it at Alabama when he had talent around him. So the question is Bill Belichick just going to turn him loose? That will be the question until they play Miami on September 9th, September 10th, whenever the hell it is. What are they going to do down there in South Florida? Are they going to turn him loose? I strongly suggest they do. Now, the other night, I think Patricia was calling the plays in the first half, and Judge he was calling the plays in the second half or whatever it was. So, and I don't know if that's just some parlor game that Belichick is deploying to keep everybody guessing so they can't get a read on him. And if that's his plan, great. Okay? Because I don't give a frog's fat ass who the damn offensive coordinator is. I just want a team. Now, last year, the Patriots were 6th in points in the NFL. Okay, so they have something to build on. Mac Jones had a very good rookie year. There was no reason, and I've spoken with Sean Darcy, who I'm sure is watching. Sean, again, shout out to the Six. There's no reason to think, given what they've added to this team offensively, he can't have a better year. He can't go take that next step. But that's really going to come down to what they're doing on offense. It's got to jive with what he's played to his strengths. The best thing you can do, he's got a running game. The best thing you can do for a quarterback, other than a running game, is get a burner on the outside. This Taquan Thornton looks the part. He looks like a bigger version of the cheetah. Think about that for a second, because he's just as fast. Okay, but he's 6'2", he ain't 5'6" or 5'7". Well, I think they list the cheetah at 5'9". The cheetah's not 5'9". Okay, but he's more like Julian. He's probably like 5'7". But the bottom line is he gets in space and he's a nightmare. This guy is 6'2", legit 6'2". Okay? He gets down, he gets vertical on you. You got a problem. You got a problem with a kid who, sorry Rex Ryan, doesn't have a pea shooter for an arm. Okay? He's got anything but a pea shooter for an arm. Okay? Now you're just giving him another bullet, a very fast bullet in the gun. So all accounts, at least for the first preseason game, saw all good things out there. I was not particularly happy with the Giants running for $177 on the pass, but it wasn't their starters. So you take it with a grain of salt. If you're a G-Mans fan, hey, Saquon Barkley looked healthy. He looked strong. He caught the ball out of the backfield. He looked good. So that's encouraging if you're a Giants fan. In terms of, it's week one, take it with a grain of salt, but that's an encouraging sign to see him looking like he's 100%. So we're going to end it with that right there on those two. We're going to switch over quickly. The Commanders played, I believe, what did they play? They played, I want to say it was the Titans, or I'm not sure. Hold on. Let me just pull up. Let's use the wonderful world of technology here, boys and girls. And because we need a quick answer, let's see who here we go. Scores. Who did the Commanders play yesterday? It was the Panthers. I'm sorry. So here's the thing about, and again, week 1, grain of salt. That should be Tom's slogan, grain of salt. Take it with a grain of salt. Tom's preseason motto, grain of salt. My preseason motto is health. Okay, health. All right. So Carson Wentz, 10 of 13, 74 yards, no touchdowns, no picks. Moved the ball very well. It was 10-6 at the half, big deal. Nobody really of importance really probably played in the second half. But Redskins ran for $121 on 26 carries. That's not bad. They threw for 229. But again, the key here is that there's only anybody of major significance got hurt, and Carson Wentz had a very good debut. Look, we talked about this. We will be talking about this throughout the preseason with the Commanders. Carson Wentz has all the tools to be a great quarterback. He just does. This is all between the ears with him, and we're going to keep saying it until he either stops doing it or it'll be his undoing. It'll run him out of the league, or he'll be a career backup, whatever. Because this is the last team that's coming to look for him probably as a starter. So this team should have playoff aspirations. They were there 2 years ago. The schedule is very winnable. And this quarterback looks like he has all the tools that the other ones didn't have from a physical standpoint. He's big, he's got a strong arm, he's mobile. Okay? That's nice. Okay? And he's got a running back, okay? And he's got a number 1 receiver, legit number 1. He's a legit number 1. So, but I talked to DJ, my neighbor, shout out to DJ. But he caught the game the other night. He was very encouraged for a first outing, what you expect, or what best case scenario, what you'd hope for. For a first outing, it was great to see Carson Wentz come out there and he's slinging the ball around, he's getting people involved. And that's what you're hoping. Okay, so that's encouraging. We'll see how much he plays in week 2. I don't know how many series he actually did play. I didn't catch the game the other night. I had it on for a quick minute, but I didn't really catch it. But he, by all accounts, very good first showing. I don't think he took a sack either. No, he did not. Okay, so Howell, the backup there, went 9 of 16, 145, but he got sacked twice. Heineke, 4 of 9, 20 yards. He threw a pick, but that seems to be his MO right now. He's throwing picks. So positive first outing for the Commanders in terms of quarterback play, and that's really the biggest question mark. Look, the Dallas Cowboys are not going to run away with this division. I don't believe that for a second. Their front office has gotten in the way, will continue to get in the way. As long as Jerry Jones is alive, that's going to be an issue. Okay, it's going to prevent them from getting great coaches. As long as, because the talent there is exceptional. But I mean, if you don't have a great coach, and they don't, Mike McCarthy, I think, can coach, but he's a great coach. I don't know if I qualify Mike McCarthy as a great coach. That remains to be seen. Okay, but I do know this: they're not as strong as they were in terms of the passing game, in terms of weapons. And Jerry Jones is still out there, still with that spotlight ready to put it on himself. So that division is up for the taking, is up for grabs. Philly's going to be tough, but to me it's a 3-team race right now. And the Redskins, I'm going to keep saying this, I'm sorry. The Commanders are a quarterback, at least in the minds of many of their fans, away. This may be that quarterback. And the best part for you guys is this is probably his last stop. It's put up or shut up time now, so he has to be at his best now. This isn't like he's got a 10-year, $150 million guaranteed contract, and he can just kick back and put his feet up. No. Carson Wentz is auditioning for the rest of his career. Okay, for the rest of his career, and it's going to start in the nation's capital. So we'll see what happens in week 2. But so far, week 1 very positive, and let's see baby steps. Let's see what happens next. We're going to end the segment on that. We'll come back, segment 2, which will be brief. We will talk a little. More football. We'll also talk a little baseball update on the pennant races, and I shout out to the newest member of the SAC. So grab a beer, grab a frothel. I know the guys up in Mass. I know what they're doing. They're probably grabbing several, and we'll see you on the other side in just a few minutes.